Hi everyone, it's Katie from cordesrecords. Welcome back to my channel, and before I get too far, if you like this video, could you please subscribe? You can unsubscribe later, that's fine. But I think you'll really like this. If you've clicked on this thumbnail, I think you'll like this video and hopefully you'll like my channel. And give me a thumbs up. All right. I was lucky enough to receive a little kind of bookshelf system from an Aussie brand called Encel. Now, full disclosure, they sent this to me on loan. I can't believe it. I reached out to them because I saw that they'd released this new turntable called the S turntable, which I'll go into in a minute, and asked them, could I try it out? And they got in touch with me. The owner, Sam Encel, kind of saw my channel, liked what I do, and said, why don't we send you the whole system so you can try it all out? And so I went, yep, sure. And so I've had it for a couple of months now, and I listen to it on and off, and I kind of oscillate between listening to this system, and I'll tell you why in a minute, and to my Sansui amp and my vintage Philips turntable, and I've got a few other bits and pieces, and I've got another system in another room, which one day I'll talk to you about. But today is all about this fantastic little small but mighty system, hi-fi system from Encel. So if you're in the market for something small, you're getting into vinyl, or maybe you listen to a lot of streaming music, or maybe you want to upgrade from, or your child, your teenager wants to upgrade. Maybe they've been into vinyl for a little bit and they want to upgrade to a slightly better system. You cannot look past this. This is so interesting. So let me tell you about it. So Sam Encel is the son of Alex Encel, and Alex Encel was a legendary hi-fi guy in Australia when he was 24 years old, like a long time ago. I think it may be in the late 50s and early 60s. He was the first guy to really introduce high-end audio equipment in Australia and demo it. And he started a company, and Encel, went for many, many, many years, an iconic Australian hi-fi brand. And then it closed down in 2014. And then what happened? His son, Sam, in 2020, somewhere around there, relaunched it. I have to say, the first product they put out, which were the Gelati, which were speakers, which were just preceded these, and then these ones in 2022, the Gelati bookshelf speakers, which I'll show you in a minute. They were an instant classic. So firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the grill. So the Gelati speakers in their pistachio green color, I'll talk about them. I'm going to talk about this fantastic little amplifier called Brains, and then the turntable, which started my interest, the S turntable. I'll talk about that. So I'll start with the Brains amplifier. What a great name for a central part of your system, by the way, Brains. So it's called Brains. First of all, the packaging. Let's just talk about the packaging of all of this. The Sam and his team are obviously kind of creatives as well at heart, and everything they do, it's form and function. They design, every little element is beautifully designed, and little details which I will go through I really, really love, including the packaging. It didn't just come in a kind of a boring cardboard box. They actually had designers design the actual packaging. So I'll just give a kind of a call out to both of them. Alice Orr was, that's Oehr. She's a Melbourne designer. And Struthless, two different art design kind of artists, illustrators, and they both put their kind of artwork on these boxes. And so I just love that little detail. Okay, on to Brain's amplifier. So it's 43 centimeters in length, which is around about 17 inches in length. And it's quite, you can see it's quite short in its height. I'm going to look at a couple of notes. So it's 7 centimeters around about. So what's that, 2 and a bit inches? And it is such a great little amplifier. First of all, it's class AB amp. So it's not a class D, which is a kind of extra bit of detail, which I really appreciated. It's got a moving magnet phono stage. It's got a bunch of different coaxial Toslink or optical inputs for streaming devices, TVs and CD players. It supports Bluetooth, aptX HD, and that means, of course, higher streaming from with decoding of PCM signals up to 24 bits or 192 kilohertz, with a DAC from Texas Instruments capable of 32-bit at 384 kilohertz. And it's really versatile. So you could plug, it's kind of like a little cinema amplifier. You could plug your TV into it. You could plug a separate phono stage into it. You could plug a CD transport or CD player into it. All sorts of, a separate DAC, all sorts of different bits and pieces. I loved this amplifier purely for its ease of use. So the Bluetooth particularly worked seamlessly. I have a Leak 230 in the main part of the house, and that's obviously got a Bluetooth. It's got a DAC in it. Really beautiful and really problematic. It always takes about 3 minutes to connect the damn thing. With faffing around on your phone and it's not working, and then someone has to disconnect, and then you've got to get the remote, all sorts of things. This, however, was practically plug and play. It came up immediately on my Wi-Fi. Immediately I was able to connect and immediately started playing. So depending on how you play your music, if you are just getting into music but you want to start exploring things, you don't have a lot of vinyl, so you do stream a lot of music, this is a really great little amp because it does Bluetooth seamlessly, and it's obviously, you can connect your vinyl player to it. It's got obviously a headphone jack in there as well. And one little detail I love about this is the design. So it's full steel with this kind of one-piece aluminium thing. You know, it's made of just one piece. Looks really slick. It's got a yellow button as the power button. It's just a really lovely design detail. It comes in white and black. Obviously I got the white. They gave me a choice actually when they were sending it out to me. They asked me, what do you want? What colors do you want? For everything, for the speakers, for the amp. So I was very happy to get the white. I don't have any white in my office purposely. I'm quite mid-century and I've got a lot of wood, and I just thought white, this single white piece might just stand out a little bit, and it certainly did. And I do love design, so that was just fantastic. It comes with a little remote. You can see there. I'll just grab it. So that's the remote. It's quite substantial. It's not plasticky. It feels quite heavy. It's quite beautiful. Works really well. Another thing I really liked about this amplifier, and actually I really admire about Encel, they seem to have a nod to the environment all through their kind of ethos and their packaging and their system. And what I really liked about reading about this and the instructions were it's repairable. So a lot of this is repairable, unlike so many cheap kind of systems now. They're just like, once it breaks, chuck it. Like this is designed to last you a lifetime if you want. And so a lot of the components are repairable, and they actually talk about that in their instructions. And the other thing I want to mention is their instructions. It's beautifully written. It's not a lot of technical writing. It's really well written in layman's terms. The writing explains things very simply in case you've never connected an amplifier before, and they do not confuse you. They just talk about it in do this and do that, and the reason you're doing this is because of this. Are really well done. So hats off to whoever wrote that book and their idea around why they wrote it like that. So I just wanted to mention that. The final thing is its power. So it's 40 watts per speaker at 8 ohms. So what does that mean? It means it can power these speakers really well. Like you can turn it right up and it's extremely loud. What it can't do is power my tall tower speakers, which are twice the wattage. And I did try it. I did mix and match my systems a little bit. So I run a Sansuia with my tower speakers. I replaced this in the system and played that for a little while, and immediately I just wanted to test how powerful it was, and it didn't have the grunt to be able to run it. So if you're thinking of buying this and you don't know much about the bits and pieces, you don't run this with big speakers. You run it with moderate speakers. One clever little feature I quite liked about it was on the back there's a switch which allows kind of different modes of it automatically turns on if you start one of the functions, automatically turns off after 20 minutes, or it's just fully manual. So I just quite liked that. For me, I set and forget. I set it at manual and then I just forgot about it until I was preparing for this video. So I'm not sure. I think you'd probably end up just getting into your habit. And that's what you would end up knowing, and you'd probably forget that switch was at the back. So that's the Brains amplifier. Okay, so let's move on to the Gelati bookshelf speakers. First of all, can we talk about the name Gelati? And it's just delightful. The actual the color of, see, I've got the walnut there. You can't see it very well. I'll probably put in some video here. But the finishes are called things like birch, vanilla, caramel walnut, pistachio, which is what you can see here. Gorgeous, gorgeous finish. And the magnetic grills are called things like eucalyptus green, orange blue, ocean blue, lemon yellow, coffee brown. So you get the vibe. It's so beautiful. The green is very retro and really beautiful. The pistachio, I absolutely love it, and it was recommended to me actually by the team at Encel, and they absolutely nailed it for me. So just from an aesthetic perspective, it's an instant classic. It became an instant classic when it was released in 2022. I think they've just released a new model, but this was the original, the Gelati bookshelf speakers. And if I could keep any of the components from this system, like to have just as a kind of secondary test system for things, I would absolutely keep these bookshelf speakers. But I absolutely love them. I love the looks, I love the compactness, and I loved the sound. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you about a few records that I tested on the whole system, and particularly on the vinyl player. And the surprising results, there were hits and there were misses, so stay tuned for that. Under the hood, they feature a 5-inch woven Kevlar cone-based driver and a 1-inch soft drone tweeter. They're rated from 50 Hertz to 20 Hertz with a plus minus of a 3 dB tolerance. And they're pretty capable across the full range. Their sensitivity is 86 dB and they have an 8 ohm nominal impedance. And they're perfect for pairing with its its kind of family member, the Brains amp. And they weigh around about 8.5 kilograms, so probably about 4.2 kilograms each. And they're 30 centimeters high. So they're very compact, but they sounded fantastic as long as you're listening to the right kind of music. As I said, you can Bluetooth, and that is what it is. It sounds great. It's not going to be high end, but when you have the right vinyl on there, or if you had a kind of, I guess, a separate DAC, you'd probably get a better performance, but a better streaming device. I was just streaming out of my phone, to be honest, so I probably wasn't giving it its due justice. But they're just fantastic little bookshelf speakers. And even if you had a different system and you just wanted some bookshelf speakers for your office, I would highly recommend them. And they're as cute as anything. So the cost of these are Australian dollars, around about $549 for the pair. So super cheap. And the grills come separately, and they're about $80. I don't know if the grills are worth it. They're a bit mix and match. You can get different colors, as I said, and they're probably something more for teenagers or kids. I think probably just having it without a grill is the best way to go. Okay, so now let's move on to the S turntable. And why is it called the S turntable? Because it has an S-shaped arm. And this is kind of unusual for that sort of lower end entry level. It's not even entry level, it's probably a bit above entry level. Like if we think of entry level as Crosley, it's above that, because this retails probably for around about $800 or $900 Australian. So it's certainly not up there, but it's a really, it's a solid turntable. It's not cheap. And it's got this S-shaped arm, a bit like the Technics, and of course an S-shaped arm allows for a better position of the stylus on your record. And what did I think about this turntable? Well, it came more or less brand new, I think. So it was all separate. So it came in its box. Arm is 8.6 inches aluminium. It comes with a Autophon 2M red moving magnet cartridge already installed, ready to go. I found I had to really fiddle around with setting this thing up. It was, I really had to spend some time getting it. It comes with it's great. It's got its weight. It's got the anti-skating device. I had to put the cartridge in, or put the head shell on myself, and it has got a removable head shell, which again is a cool feature of sort of this level turntable. So you can swap it out. But it took me ages to get it just tuned in right. So look, probably took me, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an hour or an hour to actually be happy with how I had it. Now, I don't know if that's user error, and I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't know a lot really about setting up a turntable. Normally, I mean, you don't do it often, right? Because you don't get that many turntables. Of course, I've done it with my vintage turntables, and I understand enough, and I've watched enough videos, but yeah, probably don't know enough. I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be an expert. And it took me a while. So I'm thinking, if this is kind of a starter system or an upgrade from your Crosleys or whatever, I think a user might struggle. I would potentially get the retail store to actually get it set for you, and then you just lock it into position and bring it home, and you're good to go. So apart from that, let's move on from the setting up. Once I got it dialed in, I love this turntable. So just to give a comparison, so my other turntables are a vintage Philips 202 electronic, which I just love. That's got a Shure V15 Mark III on it, and it's beautiful, and I play it with my Sansui. So that's kind of my main setup. I also have a more equivalent turntable to this S turntable, the Encel S turntable. I have a Audio-Technica AT LPW40WN with an Audio-Technica upgraded needle on it. What is it? It's a VM95E, which is fine, and they're probably not dissimilar in price. My other one's probably a little bit cheaper, so because this one retails for about $900, as I said. I tried this on my bigger system, and it was great, and it certainly would absolutely suit someone who isn't a audiophile kind of person, but is absolutely into vinyl, and this is all they need. For me, there's not enough going for this for me to probably buy it I was thinking of getting it as a test turntable, but my other Audio-Technica, which I'd been thinking of upgrading, I think I'll keep that one for now. And the other thing is, I'm very much also about aesthetics. I love wood, as you can see, and my Audio-Technica has got a wooden plinth, and this is a black one. So, sorry if I'm offending anyone there. So it has everything you could need. It's got the anti-skating adjustment, the weight. It's, as I said, it's got the Autophon 2M red moving magnet cartridge on it. The head shell's removable, so it's got everything you need. I think where the beauty of this system is the full system. It's the component. It's all the components together. They all work beautifully together, as they should. So one of the things I do like about this one, it's got this beautiful little kind of cute feature to it. It plays 78s. So how you play your 33s and your 45s is that under the left-hand side of the turntable, just where your kind of fingers, it's just got a little toggle switch, and you turn it one way for 33 and the other way for 45. Super easy. But you can play 78s on this, which is just fascinating. It has a different belt, so it comes with a different belt. And so it's very easy to swap out. It's a belt drive, obviously. Replace it with the other belt, use the 45 toggle, and it plays 78s. So I thought that was quite a kind of a fun feature if you were wanting to experiment and starting to collect vinyl, and you had 78s, you're starting to collect 78s. You don't have to get a vintage turntable that plays 78s or an upgrade that plays, like, this does it. So really great little touch. And the other thing was the kind of the setting of the phono stuff at the back. It's got a switch underneath, and that was a bit fiddly, but once you sort that out, it works, and you can obviously put it into a preamp or put it straight into here. So overall, this system is a smart, stylish choice for any kind of small room or home office. It absolutely does the job. Easy to use, connectivity option for days, really fantastic. I just want to now talk about sound. So I put this through the ringer. I played so many records. I streamed so much music over the past couple of months, most of which I haven't shown on I put a few little bits and pieces on Instagram, maybe 3 or 4 over the last couple of months. But just trying it out. And as I said, I kind of mixed and matched my system as well, just to see how it went. So I really have some opinions here. So the first album I want to talk about that just blew my mind, both the album but also how it performed on this system, was the latest Jon Batiste, Big Money. So what is this album? So this is Jon Batiste, obviously a kind of a jazz would be his main genre, world music. artist originally from New Orleans, but now lives in, I think, New York State or New York even. Absolutely brilliant album. If you haven't listened to this, it is just a treat. There's a fantastic cover version of Lonely Avenue, which he does with Randy Newman, and it just is beautiful. This album, and it's very punchy and rhythmic and beautiful, and his beautiful voice and the kind of just the groove of it all and the beautiful production on this. And the album was super quiet, played beautifully on this stereo. It blew my mind so much that I actually asked someone to come in and get them to listen and go, what do you think? This is outstanding. So that was beautiful, and I was so excited. So I thought, right, why don't I put on an older album? And I chose my Lowell George, which if you didn't, you might have watched my last video, that I picked up this at a recent record haul. And so if you don't know him, Little Feat, 1979, sort of country / Americana, lo-fi kind of guitars, beautiful melodic lo-fi songs, if you like. This album sounded beautiful on this set. So by now I'm going, this is brilliant. Let's try some classical. I don't listen to too much classical, but I've got a couple of favorites. And one of them is Bach, and Bach's double violin concerto in D minor. Absolutely love it. I've got this super old, this is my original, I've had his master's voice. I've had it for like 30 or 40 years, and actually it's, they proudly say recorded for digital. God, not analog. I need to upgrade this copy. But anyway, I love this piece of music, so I thought I know it really intimately. So I thought I'll put this on, and it sounded beautiful. The violins just sang through the speakers really beautifully. I could hear little elements that I hadn't really listened to for a long time before. Oh, it was just beautiful. So by now I'm thinking, can this system do no wrong? And then I thought, okay, here's the test. I'll put on my Bernie Grumman remastered, or kind of remixed, what did he do? He remastered it. Joni Mitchell's Blue, from one of her recent archive box sets. And it was disappointing. So please tell me in the comments what's going on here. I don't know enough about systems to understand why Lowell George would sound fantastic, and Joni Mitchell Blue, which I absolutely love this album and sounds beautiful on through my Sansui, sounded sort of kind of a bit compressed and tinny, sort of, I guess would be the way of describing it. Please tell me in the comments below what's going on with that. And then I thought, oh, okay, so maybe it's female vocal. I then tried my Laura Nyro New York Tenebris. Now this is a brand new release out of the box set from a couple of years ago. So the quality of vinyl is stunning. Again, like if you listen to this on a different system, this is just such a beautiful album. Again, it just wasn't punchy. It didn't have the kind of the robustness of the other albums. And so then I thought I'd play a bit of jazz. And so I've just pulled out my John Coltrane Love Supreme, obviously classic. And the first thing that just jumped out at me was the left side sax, right? Because this album, I don't know the details. I'm not a huge expert on how they staged it. And I think it was, they didn't have, the stereo might have been new in those days. Not sure, but whenever you play this, the sax is right on the left and the drums are on the right, and it was really evident, but it sounded fantastic. This worked really, really well on this system. So if you love jazz, brilliant. Still disappointed because I love female singer-songwriters. I love female Americana. Female folk is my sweet spot. 60s female folk, absolutely love it. Like a Laura Nyro, absolutely love it. Karen Dalton. And so I thought, I might try the Highwomen, which is a kind of a super group. Brandy Carlisle, Maren Morris, Natalie Hemby, and Amanda Shires from about 4 or 5 years ago. This sounded good. This was really good, and it was probably a little bit more. There are a few more instruments. It was lush, punchy. It was a bit more like the John Baptiste album. And then just a kind of a bonus album, which I only received this week. And I'll do another video which talks about this album because this album's potentially going in my top 10 of the year. Anna Tivel, her new album, Animal Poem. My God, what a stunning album. And I think that this sounded really beautiful on this stereo. Sounded better through my Sansui, but it did not lack on this one. If this is all you'd heard it on, it still stands up as a stunning, stunning album. It's very, if you don't know Anna Tivel, she's very, she's not unlike, I guess, an Adrian Lenker maybe, or a little bit, probably a little less lo-fi. She's from Oregon. This is like a 6th or 7th album, been around forever. Singer-songwriter, Americana, indie folk, you could call her. Beautiful lyrics. She's an amazing songwriter, masterful songwriter. Very political, in my mind, on the right side of history. And this album is just stunning. I'll talk about this more in an upcoming video, but it sounded great on the Encel. So just to go over the kind of the prices of everything. So the Brains, let me just check that I've got this right. So the Brains is around about 800 Australian dollars. The Bookshelf Speakers, the Gelati Bookshelf Speakers, are around about $550. And the S Turntable is around about $900. So all up, you're looking at 800, 900, 700, so over 2,000, 2,200 around for the system. So it's certainly not a cheap system. Like, it's an investment depending on where you are. I would say this would suit someone who's really seriously starting to get into vinyl, wants to kind of upgrade from their really cheap systems, get a full system. So I'd imagine you're probably in your 20s or your 30s, and you're really getting into gear, and you have a small office or a small room where you're playing. I think this would suit you really well. And the beautiful thing for me is it's Aussie brands. So we often hear so much about hi-fi brands from either Europe or the US or in the Asian market. It's so great to be celebrating Australian brands. And so Encel, congratulations. It is just fantastic. And I don't know if they ship overseas. I did ask one of the guys in the team, and I think it's on the cards for a future. So, I mean, if you're really interested, reach out to them, and I'm sure that you can have a conversation about that. And please put in the comments what you think, and let me kind of explain to me why I'd be hearing a different sound, like with the Joni Mitchell. I'm really interested. I need to know. I'm trying to learn, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.